Hey everybody, today we're talking about ThreeJS. ThreeJS is the framework that allows you to do 3D modeling on a platform like ReactJS. So we'll be making a cube just like this one. I'll be showing you the code, walking you through it. I'll be sharing the code, and we can start understanding how this all works. As you can see, we're importing React, and this is just the component itself. You can put it into your own project and begin working right away. We're going to be using the useRef and the useEffect part of React. We are importing, of course, the ThreeJS library and the standalone control, the orbiter control that allows us to move the object around. We have a clean material function here that we're going to utilize later to dispose of the materials. So we're just defining it here, and here we are defining the cube itself. So we are getting the ref for the component, defining our useEffect function, getting the width and the height, and setting up the renderer, which is a big part of this. We start the WebGL renderer, part of the library itself, and we tell it to be transparent by passing this argument, and to smooth out the edges by saying anti-alias equals true. We then set the size with the width and the height that we got from the client itself. And since we're able to get a canvas element from the renderer, we append that element using append child to the ref itself. So going back here for a second, all the way down, we can see that the only thing we're really returning to make this work is just a single div with the ref that we've defined and the style to make it full width. Okay, so back to the cube itself. After appending it, we then set the scene. The concept of the scene is extremely important in ThreeJS. We will append the camera as well. So we create a 3D perspective camera, and we pass it a few arguments, which will be all defined in the description itself. I'll be sharing more about each of these objects. You'll be needing to know about them as you dive deeper into this, but this is just a brief overview to see what you're even allowed or capable of doing with this amazing framework. So once you set up the camera and you set up the position, you then have to set up some lighting. In this case, we're going to set up a point light, an ambient light, and a directional light. We add them to the scene by doing the scene.add method. And then we create an array of materials. And you can see that's where we're getting our colors for our cube. One for each side. We then create the cube itself by creating this shape. The box geometry method allows us to create this shape, and we pass the materials to associate the colors to each side. We call that cube, and we add it to our scene. We set a side, as well as a grid helper, which in this case I'm not using, but I can show you what that really looks like. Let's see. In my project, adding the grid helper will let you see what this object looks like on the grid. So I added it for you guys, but I'm commenting it out here. But you can do as you wish. It's really useful for debugging. And then we have the animate function, which is the heartbeat of the ThreeJS program, I guess. It's basically like a for loop. It goes on forever, I guess more like a while loop. And we're using request animation frame, which is native to the web browser. You can think of it as set interval. But it's better for animation. And again, I'm explaining the concepts in the comments themselves. We're going to update the controls every single time, and we're going to render the scene with the same camera. And after it's defined, we start the animation loop. Here we have a function to define and handle the resize. We add it with the event listener. And since this is all part of the useEffect, we clean it up by removing the event listener. And we also use that original function of clean material that we saw at the very beginning to get rid of the materials for each of the things in the scene by traversing through it. We dispose of it, and that's how you clean up this useEffect function. That's all we have. It's a useEffect function that creates the scene by creating cameras, the lighting, and the necessary shapes, and then we clean it up when we get rid of the component. It looks just like this, and it's just the beginning. This allows you to put 3D models on your websites. It's going to get pretty awesome from here.